All right, folks, we are back. You're listening to the Matt Long Show. You're on Hill Country Patriot Radio, and right now I'm very happy to have on the line with me Doug Sanders from Llano. Mr. Sanders, welcome to the Matt Long Show.
Matt, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't know a whole lot about you. I know we have been in the same room a number of times over the last few years up in Llano. I get to Llano political meetings up in Llano occasionally, and so I know we've met up there. I know you're, I know you're an attorney, and I know you have a Harley. Give us a little bit of more background on you, sir.
Sure. You're absolutely right. I am an attorney. I've spent 30 some odd years as a litigation lawyer. So my bread and butter was trying lawsuits. I was not a personal injury lawyer. I was a business litigation lawyer. So I used to joke with folks that none of my files bled. It was fighting over somewhat complicated issues and typically with a lot of money at stake. I'm still maintain my license. I'm active, but I no longer maintain an office. I am retired, blissfully, and I became very concerned about the state of where things were going, so I got involved directly in the party about 2 years ago and became the county chair of the Llano County Republican Party. We turned it from a fairly inactive organization to an extremely leaning forward organization, and I have just re-upped for another 2 years.
Okay, super. By the way, just have to say this. You have the temper of a Gandhi or somebody. Let me tell you, there is no way I could have kept my cool during that SD caucus. I've told people you were the caucus chair on our online meetings that lasted 9, 10, 12 hours. I got so frustrated. We were meeting in a church, kind of gathering together in a church, and I was yelling things that I probably shouldn't yell at a church, and yet here you are 12 hours later still with your cool. So my hat's off to you, and thank you for your great job you did on that. But let's get right into your article that you wrote. And I just kind of opened up. I gave folks, don't know if you were able to listen, but I kind of went through the middle of your story. We didn't talk about what your solution is, but I told folks what was going on with Abbott and with our Attorney General, Paxton's office, and then the 7 Supreme Court justices that ruled against us having an in-person convention, and you pointed out that they were all Republicans. I want to add one more thing to this that I discovered this morning about our Texas Supreme Court justices, and then I'm going to cut you loose, let you talk. We have 9 Supreme Court justices currently, and they each serve 6 years. Currently, 6 of those 9 judges were not elected. They were not put in office by election. They were put in office by a governor. And so what has become what looks like a habit now is that Supreme Court justices retire during their stint, and then they are replaced by the governor. And then, of course, in the next election, they look like incumbents. And so they usually get voted in. In fact, the last time Texans voted and actually got to place a new justice on the Texas Supreme Court was 7 years ago, and that was Justice John Devine. All right, fill us in a little bit on the insanity and what your solution is for this. Doug, the floor is yours.
Well, Matt, I appreciate that. And first of all, let me just say you are absolutely spot on. And you may have already heard that I believe it's the Chief Justice is going to be stepping down, and the governor will be appointing his replacement. So you've picked up on something that very few people have, and I think it's an insightful point. I would commend to your listeners to read the article that I've posted up on our website, which is on Facebook too, the LlanoGOP.org is the website, and then of course the Facebook is the Llano Republican Party. I lay out all the reasons why Abbott and Paxton and those judges that voted against us need to be primary. The next step is what to do about it. And I'm going to share with your listeners, matter of fact, they're the first ones to hear this because I've yet to send it to our great Senator, Don Buckingham, and at least our state representative in my area is Representative Andy Murrah. But I prepared up a letter, and as I think I've seen you do and people do in negotiation, you always look for what leverage you might have. We have, in my view, zero direct leverage right now against the governor and against the Attorney General, Ken Patch, because they're not up for re-election in 2 years. So where is our leverage? Well, our leverage lies with those representatives that are up for election in November. And that would be our Senator Buckingham, if you're an SD 24. And again, in my neck of the woods, it would be State Representative Andy Murrah. And if I might take a little bit of liberty, I'm going to read to you a letter that lays out my plan, and I hope this is something that is adopted across the state, because if we do this, I think we can bring enough pressure to bear on the governor, which he will take the governmental boot off of our collective neck. It is absolutely killing us, and it's sapping the joy out of our lives. So if I may, this will take about a minute.
Go ahead.
Here is my letter. Yet to be sent, but will be sent after I ring off with you and your listeners.
Okay.
So I say, Dear Senator Buckingham and Representative Murrah, first of all, let me tell you that I admire you and respect you. Both of you know that the LCRP and I have worked hard for you in getting you elected. Indeed, in the last general election, the LCRP set the exceedingly optimistic goal of turning out at least 80% of the Republican vote in the county. And we did it. We fight for and support good conservatives and want them to remain in office. We are living in unprecedented times, not because of the COVID-19 virus. Viruses come and go and will be with us forever. No, we live in unprecedented times because of the gross government overreach and abuse. Never before in our lifetimes, indeed maybe ever, has our representative form of government been scrapped and our state run by executive order edicts from our governor, mayors, and some county judges. Constitutional rights and protected individual freedoms have been abolished under the claim of, quote, protecting us, end quote, from a virus which has the fatality rate approximating that of the yearly flu. The governor's and mayor's unilateral protective edicts have already devastated hundreds of thousands of Texans' lives. We do not want, nor can we survive much more of this, quote, protection. You know your constituents. They are mad as hell, and they want you to take action. Specifically, they want you to organize with your colleagues to demand that the governor order all mayors and county judges to, quote, stand down their oppressive executive orders, and that the government himself rescind all of his executive orders pertaining to COVID-19. If the governor believes that the COVID-19 virus necessitates government intervention, then you should demand that he call a special session of the legislature, which can debate the issue and pass appropriate legislation. That is how our system of government is constitutionally organized, and that is the way any restrictive law should be passed. That would allow your constituents a voice in the process and allow them to hold their representatives accountable. As the chairman of the Llano County Republican Party, I am formally requesting that you immediately make the foregoing demand on the governor in writing and provide a copy of your written demand to your constituents. We have stood up for you. Now is the time for you to stand up to the governor and stand up for your constituents. I am confident that neither of you will fail us. With all due respect, I remain virtually yours, Douglas Sanders.
Very well written.
And I do believe, Matt, that that's the plan.
Okay. I think yes, I think the pressure needs to come from representatives. I know our own, my representative, Kyle Biederman, has been putting the pressure on. And unfortunately, right now, there's only really been, over the last month or so, there's only been less than probably a dozen representatives and maybe only one senator who has been real vocal about getting Governor Abbott to call a special session. So we have to look at solutions. That's my key to everything is solutions. There's enough people on the radio whining and complaining. I like to be solution oriented. So we've got the special session possibility. The censure. Let's talk about censure, primarying, long-term and short-term. And I know that's 2 days worth of materials, but there are about 10. There's about 10 counties that brought forth censure resolutions. Do you know what the state of those censure resolutions are at this moment in the at the convention? Since we know we're not done with the convention.
You know, Matt, as you know, having gone through that unique experience like I did, free flow of information was somewhat difficult to obtain. And in the chaos of when it ultimately ended and the decision was made that they'll have another session, the fate of the resolutions, essential resolutions that were sent to the state committee, and by the way, every resolution, since the resolution, specifically said we wanted it to be determined by the delegates of the full convention,
right,
not the SREC, which is the board of directors. And the reason for that is we wanted a public debate on whether the entire state party should censure the governor for what I consider his illegal and oppressive conduct, and specifically his conduct that falls specifically within Rule 44, violating 3 or more of the core principles of the Republican Party platform. So to answer, that's a long-winded way of answering. I'm not sure where it is. I would hope that once we resume, that the folks don't circle the wagons and do some protection and snuff that request for a debate on what I think is critically important out. But I just don't know at this point.
Okay.
So that's it on the censure resolutions. What was your other question?
The other question was, let's look ahead then. That's kind of a short-term look at things. Let's look on ahead at the long term. Now, the next primaries we're going to have for judges and for governor and lieutenant governor and all of those are going to be in March of, 2022. So the way I look at it, and I think the way a lot of us look at it, is we got a whole lot of time to get ready for this. How do we, the thing of the incumbent in a primary, and I don't know how there's so little participation in primaries, and you get so many people that are just straight up that wear the red jersey, and they just go in and vote for the incumbent. I know this is a classic question, but what in the world can we do in the next year and a half to get ready to primary some of these rhinos and get them out? What in your view? What in your view would be a good path on that?
Well, I think in your county, in my county, and I think virtually all the counties in SD 24 and probably in all SDs, Senate districts across the state, have not only the party, but they have the Tea Party, they have other conservative organizations. I think they need to actively get involved and start vetting candidates to run in the primary, knowing that they're going to probably face an incumbent that has a war chest of money. But as I keep telling my people, I said, Llano County doesn't gin up a ton of money for candidates. People work hard here. It's primarily a rural county. You've got the resort in the southeast portion of the county, but folks work hard for their money, and it's tough for them to be spending it on candidates that sometimes, more often than not, fail them when they get into office. But what Llano County does, and what I think most of SD 24 does, is what we lack in generating funds we make up in turning out the vote. And I think we need to leverage that. We need to find the appropriate primary opponents against the incumbents. We need to let the incumbents know that, right now, typically the Republican Party stays neutral in these Republican primaries. I think those days are probably gone. And I think that we ought to take positions in the primary. I think that the incumbents need to justify their voting record. They need to earn getting their vote. Those that I don't say targeted, but have targeted themselves with their conduct that I set forth in the 9-1s in the article, I'm not so sure they can make amends for that. You and I and everybody else went through hell at the convention, and it was a national disgrace, and there's no reason that should have happened but for our governor, in my humble opinion.
Right, I agree.
So we turn out the votes. And the other thing, Matt, is much more immediate that we can do.
Okay.
And that's exactly the plan that we're dealing with right now. You, me, everyone I talk to is feeling oppressed. And the public display of that oppression is whether you wear a mask or don't wear a mask. It should not be a political issue, but it is. And my view is, if you feel like masks work for you and you want to wear a mask, do it. If you don't do it. But what we don't need is the government coming down and continuing to put its boot on our throat and not letting us go ahead and enjoy and thrive in the freedoms that each one of our generation before of us fought and died for.
Right.
We're at a point of really losing that if we don't stand up. So the stand up right now is exactly what I put forth in the letter that I read to your listeners. We have, and I will get this out on the web today. I need you, I need other good patriots to send this wide and far. I will be in contact with all the county chairs in our SB 24 today, sending them this, encouraging them to do the same thing. I am not, as I kept saying during our Senate District Caucus, a guru on technology and computers, so I may enlist the help of those social media wizards that can do it. But I think we need to enlist and co-op the other districts across the state to do the same thing. And if we act now, this is not a let's do it next month or let's do it the month after that. It's right now. And we need to get the pressure on the representatives that are up for election in November now, before they start coming to our districts and to our county and asking us for our vote as they always do and telling us what a great job they do. This should be a go, no-go question. The first question when they show up in our district should be, did you write the letter to the governor demanding that he rescind his executive orders? If not, why not?
Yeah.
And quite frankly, my view is anything you say after that, if it's a no answer, is just words. It's the same type of words that you and I heard, and those that were the conventions heard from our governor. I don't know how it was when you were, but when the governor gave his short, pre-recorded speech, as I put out in my article, everyone booed.
Right.
I've heard not a single person tell me that anybody applauded.
Yeah.
I mean, across the state in our convention, I know of no one who clapped for our governor. And I think, as I said in the article, I think he knew that if it's in person. So that's the next thing, and I really would encourage you, I encourage your listeners, let's get on this. Let's contact your county chairs, tell them you want to do this, get involved. All it takes is just sending an email to them.
Right.
Each one's your representative and your state senator, and telling them, demand that the governor rescind his orders, and then every week, and this is critical, every week send a follow-up email that says, where are you on sending that written demand?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Doug. It's been really, really great to have you on this morning. And let me ask you one more question. I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to run over time here. I was supposed to take a commercial break, but I'm going to stick them together here in a minute. Is it okay? And I got a lot of pushback, not a lot, but we got some pushback, and I'm sure you're seeing it as well, of Republicans who are saying, listen, don't rock the boat. It's an election year. Don't rock the boat. Would you guys just shut up and let us get through this election? Would you Can we hold can we hold Republicans accountable and at the same time not rock the boat? In other words, keep the party together and hold them accountable? I know what my answer to that is. What is your answer?
Mine is absolutely yes. Matter of fact, it's easy. I think that those that say don't rock the boat, that you're going to mess things up, is the way that we keep seeing the same old, same old.
Right.
It's not. We are not infighting in our party. We are demanding that our governor allow the constitutionally organized system of government, representative system of government, to work. And that's not rocking the boat. That's standing up for your individual freedoms that people generations before have died for.
Right.
I'm not going to stand quiet when I think of those soldiers that landed at D-Day, 18 years old, and were killed before they even got off. They went there fighting for our freedom, and by God, we need to stand up and fight as well.
All right, Doug, I think that's a great way to end this, and we need to get to a set of commercials so I don't lose my job. Mr. Sanders, we're going to keep up with you on this, and I appreciate you calling in, and we're definitely going to follow up with you on this over the next few days. All right, folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back.